I grew up such a fan of sports memorabilia and sports cards, and I'm really excited that this show is both going to highlight that as well as the awesome entrepreneurs that make it all possible. Let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into Talking Shop. Today we have a good friend of mine who has become a great card enthusiast and fanatic and lover and investor. Josh, aka Jugglin. Josh Horton, welcome to the show, my friend.
What's up, Buster? It's all your fault.
I know. So I would normally ask what the card origin story is, but in this situation, I know it, but I will still open
it's still worth saying. I had seen the sport card thing happening, and I was like, man, I wish I knew more about sports. My content, for those of you who follow me or see my stuff, my whole YouTube channel is basketball trick shots and sports, but I don't really watch sports that often. And so I knew you needed knowledge to be, at least for the modern stuff, to be doing well in sports cards. So I just was going to let that be your thing. And then one day you posted a Pikachu card, and I was like, holy cow, is Pokemon on the rise too? And you're like, yeah, man. And I think we got on a call that day. And you gave me the quick rundown, and I didn't look back.
What happened too was we were on a call about something totally unrelated, and then at the end of it, I was like, "Bro, you know about this Pikachu thing?"
Yeah.
Like you were like, you knew about Pokemon, like you collected back in the day.
Yeah, and everyone says they collected back in the day, but I had like all of my friends' cards combined wasn't even near my collection. Like I was really into it. I like got in trouble with my parents for my eBay account getting hacked because I was in middle school and my password was probably 12345, and like my PayPal got hacked. So I was like in middle school, was using eBay to buy and sell cards. So I was really in it, but then sold all my cards when I was too old for it, and now I'm back.
Right, but all it took was a little nudge from me, and then you went in. You started, I have not seen to this day somebody who went as in as you did, as quickly as you did. What made you believe so much in it?
I could sense the urgency, and that came from several places, but mainly just doing my research, just seeing the rise in prices in that 2 weeks that I was starting to look at it. I was like, holy cow, like this is happening quickly. I got a little bit of wind of some big name people that were like getting in on it, but hadn't really said too much. Like there was a point where Gary Vee had just randomly posted like a TikTok about it, like a little snippet, like, hey, Pokemon's hot, but hadn't posted it on his Instagram or anything yet. And I could just tell, I just knew it was next. And I could tell his thing, if I was going to be in it, you got to be all in. And so, yeah, I have a lot of world records, and you said I might have the world record for most money spent on Pokemon cards without owning a single Pokemon card, because that first week I went hard without even getting anything in the mail yet.
I remember that was so funny. It was really crazy. How much of an impact do you think Pokemon influencers and Pokemon celebrities do have on the market? Do you think they have more of an impact than just the mass of regular non-highly followed person?
I don't think so. I feel like people like Leonhardt were killing it before this crazy market rise, and that maybe they were part of the culture that's obviously bringing awareness, and people are stumbling upon these videos all the time. I know his like, when he pulled his Charizard, like that video reached a lot of people. It probably got some people pumped up. But as we saw, a non-Pokemon celebrity coming in has a much greater impact, I think.
Right, because they bring all the new people with them instead of like the people who found them because they already loved Pokemon.
Sure. People like Leonhardt and PokeRev and Real Breaking Nate, like those guys have been doing it for years now, and they were definitely benefiting from the rise now. But I feel like they have benefited more from the rise in Pokemon than them contributing to the rise in Pokemon. But maybe I'm wrong. That's a hard thing I'm sure it's a little bit of both.
Totally. Now, I'll give a lot of credit to you in the sense of like most of the creators and influencers, people who have made money from social media, spend it very foolishly. We've had many conversations about how you like investing in stocks and how, obviously new things when they come along, like Pokemon you love. I want to talk about the multiples and, the multiples that you see in Pokemon and that we saw over the last 5 months in contrast to any other investment class. In your life, have you ever seen anything like it?
Never. Yeah, I mean, there's a dip happening right now, and I'm like, oh man, now my cards have only tripled in the last 5 months. Where it's like, if your stock triples, you're game over, sell everything, you've made it. Unless you're one of the crazy people messing with penny stocks or whatever. I get that those exist, but like the average person doing the stock market, like if something triples, that's unheard of. If you can double on a consistent basis, you're good. I have cards that have 10x'd since I got into it, which is crazy. It makes no sense to me, but it's been great.
You just don't see that kind of thing from anybody in a 5-month span. Sure, if you got in on Tesla at the very beginning,
Right.
you could theoretically see a 10x multiple, but
Sure.
everybody sells along the way. Nobody holds something like that. Whereas with a Pikachu, you love that guy. You don't even want to let it go
Right.
until you do hit that 10x, whatever multiple. And then, it makes sense to go diversify into other cards.
Right. It is really crazy, but it's been super fun. And that's been the biggest thing for me is how fun it's been. COVID and all this stuff, like my YouTube channel has been suffering during all this. Like to have a different hobby that gets my mind off of it is really fun. It brings it back to my childhood and is also making me money. If I decide to ever sell anything, has been really great.
Yeah.
And I have sold a few things, but
Right.
not
You got to.
Yeah.
What would your best advice be to yourself, when you're starting out? Would you tell yourself to go just buy more Charizards off the bat? Would you tell yourself to look at this particular population report? What would you tell yourself 5 months ago?
Yeah, it's a good question. We've discussed this for a while. It was don't even look at an 8, a PSA 8 or PSA 7 of anything. And like, had you loaded up on PSA 7 first edition Charizards or Pikachus, whatever your budget was, you would have done very well because there was there were so few people in the world of Pokemon that a 7 or an 8 is so undesirable. Those cards were nothing. They were so cheap.
$100 on everything.
Yeah, and now everything's gone up, and the 7s and 8s are starting to follow. So that's one that's one route you could have gone. Obviously, when we got in it, we were talking about Pikachu, and it's a common card that it made no sense to the collectors that had been in it that a common card was going for so much, but he's like the mascot of Pokemon. I like that play better because it was so cheap, because it was unexpected. I kind of figured Charizard was the already expensive card. I should have known that Charizard was going to rise with the whole tide. And Charizard prices were insane. They've dropped, unlimited prices have dropped a lot. They went all the way to 7,000 and now they're back down to 2,200, which is crazy.
PSA 10?
PSA 9 unlimited.
No.
Yeah. I bought mine at $800. Before Logan Paul posted, they were about $2,000. They got up to $7,500. Now they're back down to $2,200, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And I had bought I bought a big 3, Blastoise, Charizard, Venusaur, unlimited for the sole purpose of knowing it was going to flip and to flip it, which I rarely ever do. And I should have taken advantage. I thought we had through the new year for this crazy rise, and it really just fell off the face of the earth pretty quickly. It was no like, oh, is it dropping? Is it dropping? It was like, oh no, it had dropped. So it's just a market correction. And some people made an interesting point, like Halloween night, there were some low auctions that ended, but people were just like, you already had Pokemonster on the show. He was the one that was saying this. It was like people were out, not on their computers and their phones for the first time ever. A few auctions went by low, and then people start panic selling and freaking out. And so I think we'll be back soon enough. There's a PSA 10 Charizard that just hit $250,000 with 7 days left on the auction. So the market is not crashing.
The thing that I always resort back to is something that pretty much everybody in the hobby agrees upon, which is the first edition base set Charizard PSA 10 will one day be $1 million card.
I agree.
If we all agree on that, that means the prices of practically everything that is either as rare or as collectible as that Charizard, which are first edition holos, base set first edition cards in general, rare promos, interesting plays are going to follow in that percentage increase. So that's
Sure.
what I stick to long term.
I agree. And I think some people are saying unlimiteds will never get that high again. I also feel like eventually they're going to get back to that place because people want the closest thing possible to that first edition Charizard within their price range. And so I think the unlimited nines, I don't know if they'll get back to $7,500, which was a little crazy, but I definitely think they'll come back soon.
Unlimited's tricky though, man. We were talking about this earlier today. They printed 10x what they did for Shadowless. So it's kind of crazy that they were at the prices that they were at compared to Shadowless. Now everyone's saying the best deal is Shadowless right now.
I agree with that as well. We were also talking about this earlier. I don't understand I understand it, but the premium for a 10 is crazy. I am a PSA 8 first edition Charizard owner, proud, and I did well on it. I bought it before the big boom, but I still think the ratio of the 9 to the 10 is crazy, and I hope it'll catch up as fewer and fewer come on the market. As these people buy them up, they're not going to sell them. But
nobody's selling their Charizard to make their money back or for less because they've dropped since a lot of the ones have gotten snagged up.
Right. So the fact that this auction might sell close to $300,000, and it's crazy that the 9s are only at 55, 65, whatever they're at right now. It's crazy to me.
What do you think the 9 should be?
If this one sells at $300,000, I think it should be at least $75,000.
I agree. We were doing the percentages earlier.
We were doing it based on sports cards, right?
Right. We compared a PSA 10 Luka Doncic, which was $1,400, I believe, or maybe $1,300, to what the $500, $600 PSA 9 is. So it's about 30%, roughly. A PSA 9 is what a PSA 10 is in basketball cards and sports cards.
Yeah, but we should find a $300,000 sports card, PSA 10, and figure out what that 9 is.
Right. Well, that's tricky because
it gets a little bit more complicated for sure.
It's a little bit more complicated because you're not going to find very many cards that sell for $300,000 in a sports card that you would have in both a 10 and a 9.
Yeah.
Because unless you're looking at like vintage, because the difference between a PSA 10 Mickey Mantle and, so the PSA 10 Mickey Mantle is the most expensive card in the world. 1952 tops, it's $25 million card if the guy will ever sell it. I don't know what the PSA 9 is worth or if there even is one. The second most valuable card isn't a Mickey Mantle. It's a Honus Wagner from 1909 to 206. It's PSA 8. That is supposedly a $10 to $15 million card. So it's really interesting when you get into like the grades of those old cards. But to your point, it would be really interesting to compare to see what ratios of something like that would be.
Right.
Because when you look at like the LeBron card that sold this year for $1.8 million, the reason that had such a premium had very little to do with the grade and much more to do with the fact that it was a number to 25 LeBron rookie because it was a BGS 9.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting, but I think it'll catch up. I just think as fewer and fewer of them come on the market, the 9s and the 8s will catch up. But we'll see.
So one other thing that I definitely want to touch on, since we've both obviously dove headfirst into this entire hobby, a lot of people ask us, friends, family, people on the internet, I got $1,000 to spend. What do I put it into? It's a very tricky question to answer because you don't want to lead anybody wrong.
Yeah.
And oftentimes $1,000 in today's market is very difficult to spend while diversifying your portfolio while still getting high quality cards instead of definitely not buying boxes. That's the worst that you could do. If you're opening them, it's really great if you're not. But
sure.
What advice would you give to somebody who has $1,000 to spend on cards?
So if you have $1,000 right now, it's kind of what I spent most of my planned investment and more, as we've also talked about, on graded cards. And then I kind of had to be done for a while. and but I didn't want to leave it totally. And so kind of my play lately has been finally getting raw cards, which is another thing I might have given myself advice earlier, is like, don't turn your nose up at raw cards if they're in great shape. Don't risk it. What was that?
So tough to judge from like a photo online.
It is very tough. So, but if you have $1,000 right now, I would say find some, do some posts online, try to find your friends who have their binders, hit up Facebook Marketplace, any local card shop that, there's a lot of like sport. Like I went one today that's like a sports card shop, and then they randomly have like this much counter space for the Pokemon cards, and they maybe don't care or don't keep up the prices, and can find a steal there, because right now it's tough. Like I wouldn't spend $1,000 on a single graded card right now. So I think you'd want to try to find a few ungraded cards and get them graded, which is also a tough process right now, a long process at least. But that's probably the best bang for your buck right now. And then also just like researching kind of the sleepers, the sets that are going to be next, or haven't quite popped off yet. We talked about it, like once base got too expensive, I knew people were going to go Jungle and Fossil have shot up like crazy. I've also been very into the pre-99 Japanese sets. Cardis 97 is my favorite set Pokemon of all time, and so I've been buying that, and you can get those cheap. I found a few like homies in Japan who barely speak English, but we're doing deals, and I'm sending them money on PayPal, and I hope my packages from Japan arrive, and they always do. And so I've been getting some good mail days from Japan, and so Top Sun is also dope. I literally didn't bring any cards to talk about on this, or to have in hand. This one was just sitting on the counter. This is like the Top Sun cards. This is the first set of Pokemon cards. Was the 1995 Top Sun. So these cards are super cool. Big fan of those. I have one of the Pikachus that's 1 in 12, which is my favorite card I own. It's not my most expensive, but it is my favorite.
I love it. To your point, what I would do if I had $1,000 is I would hit up Facebook Marketplace and buy 5 collections for $200. Yeah. I would message, people I'd message them off of Facebook Marketplace if their collection looks at all interesting, if they have any like unlimited base set card, anything from 1999 or earlier in their collection, even some like newer, you see some hollows and stuff like that from 2016 evolutions. Like there are plays to be made. Flipping raw, just if you have the time and the due diligence to buy a collection of 300 cards and sell them in lots of 10 for, $40 each, and make your money, double your money, and then do it over again to really play the game. But obviously that takes a lot of time, effort, energy, and some smarts and dealing in the Facebook Messenger DMs with moms who are selling off their kids' collection for whatever reason, or they're selling their own. And I would destroy my local area before I tried to compete with everybody on eBay.
I found some really great deals at shops online when Charizards were going for $2,500. PSA 9 already graded. I found a card shop in LA that was selling it for $999. I was like, okay, I'm driving an hour to go pick up that card right now. They had it listed on their website, but no one thinks to like go to regular stores anymore during all this. So there's some deals to be had for sure.
100%. And then you found, Mercari as well. I know that was one of your
tore up Mercari early Pokemon days. I think that was a lot of like people who were tired of eBay, and it was a lot of moms selling random stuff. Yeah, like it's caught up now, but my first 60 days on Mercari, I was doing deals. I was going hard, like 40% lower than eBay, probably. Just crazy. Going crazy.
And then another great one, garage sales. You can just find stuff at garage sales. I've found binders of cards. Usually it's not like you're going to find a first edition Charizard in there, but you might find base set Pikachus or shadowless Pikachu. Like there are
it's possible. I've never done the garage sale. That's a lot of patience. A lot of you gotta go to scale if you're looking for a specific thing. But if you're a flipper in general and other collectibles, I think it's a good move. But if you're just going to garage sale hoping you find Pokemon cards, that's a tough one.
Totally. But if you know your like gold and silver, you know your coins, you know your sports cards, you know your
Vintage toys.
Pokemon cards, your vintage toys, your stuffed animals,
Yeah.
your I'm trying to think of what other good, like just autographs in general and authentication companies. You can really do some damage, especially if you have a car that you're driving around.
Yeah.
Can do some serious damage with those. I can't wait till the world's back to normal and
I know.
garage sales are like a real thing again, because it used to be every Saturday, every Friday. That's like all I would do in back home in Connecticut. Just
Good.
drive from
Love
show
it.
to show all day. Man,
That's how I sold my Pokemon cards when I was an 8th grader. Going into high school and was too cool for Pokemon. I remember like
really?
had my little table and was selling off I can remember like, do I really want to give away my Mewtwo card for $30? Like I remember that moment like it was yesterday, and yeah, that's how I did it.
That's
Regret
amazing.
it, but
Now, the dip. There's a dip. I mean, honestly, this is probably going to come out 2 weeks, maybe a week after we're recording this.
yeah,
So things could be different. But as of recording this, there is a dip that's going on right now. Although, given that the holidays are coming up, I think a lot of people are going to be breaking boxes, both publicly and privately. And everybody's going to be going back home. I think exactly what we saw happen at the very beginning.
yeah,
Why everyone was home. Also, the odds of looking like there's going to be another national lockdown, obviously for the worst of the country, probably for the betterment of the Pokemon prices online.
yeah.
Because people are going to be home and stuck at home, and that's when collectibles really thrive. I think there's going to be another pop in December.
I hope so. Yeah, the biggest dip was definitely the unlimited cards, as we've said. But there's even some first edition stuff has sold quite a bit lower than there was, and I just think everyone talks about the pre and post Logan Paul, but he really did have a crazy impact on the market, and him getting in it. And the biggest difference with him versus some of these other celebrities is he got in and publicly said to millions and millions of views, hey, this is a great investment. You're going to make lots of money doing this. It wasn't like, hey, I'm Logan Paul, I'm spending lots of money on Pokemon cards. It's, hey, you should do this. Here's how you do it. This is a PSA. This is BGS. Like, he really broke it down and got a lot of people in it. And then I just think people, I don't know if they overspent or whatever they did, and now there's a lot of those kind of people that got in it just because of that are selling off now. And Logan said he's done buying. But if you took Logan out of the equation, I feel like we're higher than before he posted. Like, the things have still gone up. People are calling it a dip or a crash, but things have still gone up since pre-Logan Paul. So it is not a crazy thing. I think it's just a little bit of a correction from this madness of Logan Paul.
You're referring to it like it's before Christ and after death.
Yeah.
But it's true, though.
It's true.
You're really, pulling 10 million views, and not just views. It's not like those are Pokemon views. Those are non-Pokemon views, which is crazy.
And then all the people that bought his packs, that made videos too. Like, there were a lot. He really did bring Pokemon back to life to a lot of people.
Probably garnered 100 million views on Pokemon cards.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Not to mention his live stream, which had like 20 million views or whatever the heck it was.
Crazy. But I agree. The thing that scares me now is grading cards has now become such a thing that wasn't a thing before. There was always been such a premium for graded cards because there weren't that many out there. And now I'll post a TikTok that has a graded card, and I have like a separate TikTok for my Pokemon card account. And all the comments are, hey, I've got this card. Should I get it graded? How much is this worth? How much is it worth? And I feel like all these kids now just see money associated with Pokemon. And I worry about the thousands of graded cards at PSA and Beckett right now. And cards that we thought, we went in on the Jungle Pikachus or whatever that people have had sitting in their closets by the bucket load. that are now at PSA because all of a sudden this card that wasn't worth grading, even the PSA 9 Charizard, people have sitting in binders because it wasn't worth anything until recently. I bet there are 500, 1,000, 4,000. I really don't know. I think there's a lot of unlimited Charizards at PSA right now. So
That's already the highest graded, the most graded card in all of Pokemon.
Yeah, and I just think there's just more and more of them now because of the education that Logan Paul really led to. Like no one knew. I didn't, 7 months ago, I didn't know what PSA was, and now millions of people do. So that's my biggest concern with the market is if there's still an appetite for graded cards after people start to get these big old submissions back.
And speaking of stock, they're going to love that I'm about to say this, but their stock has done very well.
That was my contribution to all this. Let's see if not on this one. One day I was like, hey, Buster, have you seen the back?
You know what I learned, though? You're going to die. So look at the back of the card that you said it wasn't on. Look really closely at the holographic on the top.
Hey, it has it. Yeah.
It actually has it on every card. Because I asked Brandon, our friend who works at PSA, why they stopped putting it on. And he was like, no, it's still on there. And I was like, oh, well, I've been wrong this whole time. So
interesting. Huh.
But yeah, on the back of every graded card, for those that didn't just follow that, they have the NASDAQ CLCT little ticker. But I think they were $14 at the very beginning of the pandemic, and now they're in 70s, if I'm not mistaken, 60s. But yeah, so they have benefited from this whole card rise, obviously. Yeah. And I think they're like 1 million or 3 million cards in backlog now.
Yeah. So that's interesting. Do you agree? Like, I'm just worried about how many cards are there right now, because cards that weren't worth it are now worth it.
But you have to remember this, right? For how many cards are now going in and are going to enter the market, it's all about supply and demand. Yeah, if there's 3x the cards, but 5x the demand, the card still goes up in value. Yeah. So it's really just a matter of how many new people stay or enter the hobby. And I understand where Logan Paul is coming from, because you and I even you go in and out. You're really in it, and then you like step back for a month or two, and then you're back in, you're buying, and then you sit back. It's like we're like sprinters, right? We go really hard, and then we rest, and then we do it again. And I'm sure that's what's happening for Logan. And then in a couple months, he's gonna reignite that fire, and then he's gonna dive back in or into Yu-Gi-Oh or whatever the heck the next thing is.
I hope so. It's interesting. He hasn't autographs. He hasn't, presidential autographs. He hasn't posted a video since Pokemon. He still hasn't followed up with anything since the Pokemon craze, which is really interesting.
It is dangerous territory though when you jump a lot without bringing closure to things.
Yeah.
It would be cool if he finished it off by selling his Charizard, and I'm sure he will do that one day. Obviously, I wouldn't sell it if I were him.
I wouldn't sell it either. He got a deal. He got a steal on it.
From our friend.
From Gary. 150. Now it's already doubled, which is crazy.
Yeah, but Gary has done very well himself. He was on Pawn Stars, 4 or 5 years ago, and offered 500. He tried to get 500K, couldn't even get an offer for it.
Right.
For what was it?
So many.
20, 30, 40 Charizards.
Yeah.
What a collection that's now worth over $10 million.
Crazy. It's crazy. But he's sold a few, so yeah, he's doing well, but we've talked about this too. He's someone who I don't know is ever going to sell, ever. He could just be a multi-millionaire anytime he wants, but he loves his cards, and I respect that.
That's what's special about the hobby. And I think, one of the things that really does bring stability, and I reference presidential autographs again, and one of the reasons I like that market is because the people who are in it have so much extra money. They don't sell stuff very often because they don't need to or care about the money. It's about the collectible. And that brings a lot of stability. When you have, in basketball, people with tens of millions of dollars are not buying PSA 9 Trae Youngs. It's people like me and other kids that are buying PSA 9 Trae Youngs and flipping them when they double in value. That's a very different thing. That's why I like presidential autographs, because that, lack of movement in the market and lack of things available creates, a very flatline approach. And there aren't that many auctions very frequently. Pokemon is somewhere in between basketball and presidential autographs.
Yeah, I saw someone post a graph of Charizard 9 unlimited sales, and the caption was, I guess Charizard did tear his ACL. Because that's been our catchphrase, right?
Oh my God. Charizard, unlimited Charizard tore his ACL, not base set. Although base set a little bit.
Yeah.
Were there any dips in base set first edition Charizard?
A little bit. A 9 sold pretty low. I don't remember what the final sale was, but it got people a little frazzled. But it was allegedly a weak PSA 9, which I don't know. I think that's still crazy.
Bro, I was in Dallas this past weekend, as you know, and that was one of the funny phrases that I kept hearing thrown around. Like, oh yeah, this 7? You regraded? It's an 8 or a 9. And it's like, bro, I'm looking at it. It says PSA 7. You can't sell it to me at an 8.
Yeah.
And you can't sell it to me as if it's a 7.5 just because you think it's an 8.
Right.
You could say that about any. This PSA 1's really a PSA 2. It's the most ridiculous thing ever. You mentioned that Pikachu being your favorite card. Do you know what your best buy was? Your best multiple on a card?
Well, it was when I was the first thing I did, I immediately got into it. I knew first edition base set was going to be safe and a good investment, but the collector in me, getting back to my roots of being a true collector, because as a kid, I collected everything. I immediately didn't care that much about the price. I was just having fun. I wanted to complete the base set. And so to do that, I ended up having to buy several lots of cards. And there were a few lots of cards I got early on where it came to there was one I got 35 first edition PSA 9 non-holo cards, and it came to $18 a card. And so those are all, so it's it's not crazy money now, but they're all $150 to $350 cards now.
Right, but you put them together.
Yeah. So then that's a lot of money. The Pikachu was a good buy. I think my Charizard I bought the day Logan Paul posted, which was a good day to buy a first edition Charizard. So his very first video where he says the word first edition Charizard like 19 times, I bought that day, and 11 days later was offered double, which was a good buy. The Pikachu was also an expensive card, has more than doubled since then. So yeah, those have been good. We've talked about Dark Charizard. I got Dark Charizard for very cheap. First edition Dark Charizard, PSA 9. I think I paid $600.
I still like the Dark Charizard play.
I really like Dark Charizard as a buy.
If I had $1,000, if I was spending $2,000, and anybody listening, probably don't do this, but I would buy a PSA 9 holo first edition Dark Charizard.
I think it's a good buy. I think it's a really good buy. But also I went heavy on packs for a while too, which ended up being a really smart. I've not opened any of them yet. I have a booster box worth of vintage packs. I have 36 packs right now. They're either base, first edition Jungle, first edition Fossil, or first edition Team Rocket.
I just got another 96 pack from Japan today. Graded PSA. I like those graded packs too, even though
those are not included in my 36. I have a couple of those as well, not as many as you.
I love how it says Nintendo Pokemon on the top of the Japanese ones from 96. That I guess they were called Nintendo Pokemon cards back then.
Well, yeah, Nintendo was making them, not Wizards of the Coast.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. All right. I think a good way to close this out again would be to reiterate the importance of doing research in the hobby. What resources would you recommend to somebody who wants to get in now, wants to do their research before going on Facebook Marketplace and doing everything we said? Best places to do research: YouTube, Instagram. What are you looking at?
I mean, the first one, and I know some people say, well, this can't be the only place you go, but the best place to do your initial research is eBay sold history. And that is still sometimes mind-blowing information to people that you're able to do that. So figure it out. Go download the eBay app on your phone. I think is the easiest way to do it. There's a filter on the side. You click sold. I have explained it to so many people in the last.
Everyone's like, how do you do it? Show me.
They really, like, I've had to, like, grown adults who do social media for a living, I've had to, like, screen record my phone and show them how to do it. So yeah, it's on the side. You can go to sold. You can sort by highest or most recent, whatever. So that's the best way to do it. For some cards, that is a really good place if it's happening every day. Some cards don't sell, every day or every week or every month. So it's a little bit harder. The other thing I'm really glad I did is I created a different Instagram account and I just followed like 500 Pokemon collectors. They're always posting on their story what they're selling, what they're buying, what they're looking for. There's a few accounts that, like, I think it's like tcg.collector. You pay them like $6 to post on their story to sell your card. So they're always selling stuff. You're always seeing the price that's offered. And just like getting as involved in the community as you can, and everyone's super welcoming and super nice, and they're happy to help you if you're not annoying. So just don't be bugging people, but like ask intelligent questions, and people are really happy to help you out. People love being experts in things, and so I think people are always happy to share their knowledge. And so that was the other thing that was super helpful, was just immersing myself in the community and learning from them.
100%. I will say, people in the Pokemon game and the Pokemon hobby are some of the nicest people, and networking them will only help you, because they will help. Some people will make sure, that they did for me early on, for Josh early on, for anybody collecting. When you just get in, you don't know what's good or what's not. Just having a second voice, second opinion there, who's been in the game for a while and has no interest in the actual deal that you're, exchanging on, is super valuable.
For sure.
Josh, I think it would be better for you to dish out your Pokemon card accounts as opposed to the normal. Where can people follow you on the card front?
CatchEmAllCards. So just like the Pokemon phrase, and it's a little bit of a play, a little nod to juggling. CatchEmAllCards. Yeah,
I love that, by the way. I love that, by the way. It's really great.
YouTube, my wife and I are always opening packs and showing off the collection. Instagram, TikTok are the three places. Yeah, CatchEmAllCards.
Amazing. Josh, thank you as always.
Thank you.
Pleasure. All right, we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.